What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today when I talk to you about Opendoor, I want to go over some of the current data points, latest and updates, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is down 4.16%, 888 the low, 982 the high, and somewhat lowish volume. So 138 million shares being traded, 356 is the average. Macro data, we did have retail sales came in at 0.6, a forecast of 0.4. So it goes to show that consumers are out there spending the money. Indirectly, this could really be correlated with Opendoor, because if you combine this data with a potential rate cut, in theory, Opendoor's business should really be thriving. So again, this is kind of good data for any company dealing with consumers. So Opendoor, pretty good catalyst. Aside from that, there wasn't really anything coming from the company itself today. So no news, no speculative topics. SEC filings, there was a Form 4 that was submitted after hours yesterday, which did show that the board of director, this one right here, Eric, did purchase transaction code P. So they actually used their own money. It wasn't awarded transaction code A. So they did purchase 451,000 shares on September the 11th at a price of $6.65. I've seen some people online really trying to tear this apart and say that this isn't a positive, only because they didn't buy it at the market price. Of course, I think generally, yes, it would be better if they actually bought it at the current price. It would have shown that at the time they saw value in it. So they did get a little bit of a deal, because at $6.65, the lowest on September the 11th it went to was $7.42. So again, yes, I still see it as a positive. Would it have been better if they purchased it in the 10s or at the 9s? Yeah, probably, but still, nonetheless, you don't really see that many directors ever buying any stock. Normally, they're the recipient, transaction code A, so they're the ones receiving stock for free. So in general, I see this as a positive. Some people might disagree with me on that. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Today, you are seeing a little bit of a battle. So again, during the pre-market, things were looking pretty good. As soon as the market did open, you have shorts hitting it. You have hedge funds selling, as well as algorithmic trading, really adding a certain level of suppression, not just to Opendoor, but it's happening across the board. So right now, shorts are increasing 5.82 million shares. That is net. So they are going back and forth, trading a lot of volume today. You can see that based on this right here. But again, 24.96% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 164.23 million shares overall are being shorted. So shorts are a little bit more active today. On the secondary market, somewhat evenly divided. So you see some buying, some selling. So nothing really, like a lot of institutions aren't really buying the dip. I think there's a certain level of hesitation now about tomorrow. I don't know what got it in people's heads that Powell might potentially not cut. And if that does happen, then yes, you will see a crazy market tomorrow. But again, I think there's just a certain level of hesitation. So potentially, if you believe that cut might be coming tomorrow, it might be good opportunity to buy. But even on the dark pool, you're seeing a lot of transactions even early this morning, a lot of which are selling, just causing the price to go down. And like I said, algorithmic trading is very much in force. This column right here, so S, so the smaller transactions, massive. So again, something to somewhat keep in mind. Aside from that, I'll go back to the chart later in the video, but only thing I wanted to kind of bring up was this. So I know there's a lot of people talking about Opendoor, and in reality, Eric Jackson is kind of the poster boy, so the pivotal character for Opendoor, and he has a lot of good positive attitudes sometimes, but I feel like this type of thing gives a negative image, and a lot of people in reality do follow Eric. He's even posted how he went from like, what was it, 20,000 followers to 102,000. So he's gaining a lot of good popularity. But for instance, if Amit, and I've been following Amit for a very long time. I spoke to him back when he only had like 10,000 followers. So we're kind of talking about various stocks back then, but he's a very solid guy. And a lot of people, as you can kind of even see in his comments, like Eric's comments, even a lot of people retweeting that I've seen, they are hating on Eric. So I feel like Eric pissed off and kind of poked the wrong bear. And this is something that you should not have, because you never saw Roaring Kitty, for instance, who definitely did a huge benefit to GameStop, you never saw him pissing people off. He was very cryptic, and he generally cared about the stock. He didn't get into politics. And so Eric's kind of saying that he wants to do a tough interview and that he's not having it with these BS artists. And honestly, hopefully a lot of you do appreciate my mellowness. I'm kind of level grounded. I'm not into hype. I'm not into kind of bringing it down. I like to go over the data. And in my opinion, Eric initially saying 82, and I think his latest update is him saying that it's going to go to 500. That is not realistic. That is not realistic. Eric saying that, it kind of honestly made me not really believe him as much as I previously did. So I think in reality, Eric's just getting too big of a head in reality. So hopefully Amit does actually do an interview with Eric, because even myself, I get it. To get celebrities on board on a stock is huge, but I don't understand why he keeps focusing on Drake. So and maybe some of you actually know this and maybe I just missed it, but why does he stand outside Drake? Of all people, why Drake? Because honestly, if he bought, I could care less. I really wouldn't care at all. And I don't think Wall Street would care if Drake said, hey, I bought one share of Opendoor. Like, people are like, cool, good stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot more bigger figures that he could be trying to focus on. So hopefully Amit does do this interview and does a tough interview with Eric, because yeah, I think everyone logically wants to know why Drake, why $500? Are you assuming that a squeeze is going to happen, or do you think that this is fundamental? I feel like a lot of those questions really do need to be answered. So this is a little bit more of a side thing that I wanted to bring up, how it's, in my opinion, more of a negative image to Opendoor. But what do I know in life? Aside from that though, looking at the options, we are seeing kind of lower-ish volume. So 36 million in calls, 9.13 million in puts. So lower than what it has been. Net premiums are going down at 9.1 million. Overall, you have around 56% of all the options being done today bearish in nature. Bulls still feel that between 10 and 11 is on the table. Bears are anticipating for it to kind of consolidate to about $7.50 to $8. So we'll kind of have to wait and see how that does all play out. Right now with it at 920, it is trading between this S1 and this S2. So 902 and 857 is going to be support levels. So if you're wanting to dollar cost average or kind of potentially swing trade, just kind of watch for those. Then flip side, 931, 977, and then 1022 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. So Opendoor, in my opinion, has a beast, has a mind of its own, because sometimes it does show a lot of signs that it wants to consolidate, and then it just goes up 10%. And then sometimes flip side happens. So in reality, I think if you do truly believe in Opendoor, best way to do it is dollar cost average, or potentially just orient a lot of your buys around a lot of these support points. So again, just kind of take a screenshot or whatever else. Aside from all of that though, it is still technically above that 10-day moving average, so a lot of good momentum. Right now though, in comparison to yesterday, still same willing buyers, willing sellers. It doesn't seem to be much activity going on for that. You don't see any filling in of these gaps. So potentially you could see a little bit of a consolidation. And I think, as I've mentioned in my video yesterday, even if it does consolidate, I would be somewhat okay with that, only because it does build stronger support levels. So when it does move higher from there, it's more structured, and that's more coming from a technical standpoint. I know some people don't like that because Opendoor can be seen as multiple different things. Some people are still calling it a meme stock. Some people are calling it a cult, or just a straight up momentum stock. Regardless, a lot of that just involves straight vertical and nothing else. I like more structure. So even what happened in the $4 range, how it did kind of have that high and then it consolidated, that built the strong support that was able to push it and propel it to the highs that we did have. So on a technical standpoint, I think it would be beneficial if it does consolidate. So not really too worried, and it gives a good opportunity to a lot of individuals that wants to buy the dip cheaper. Gives a good opportunity for that. So at the end of the day, once we do get the rate cut tomorrow, potentially, this is where you could see a lot more of a push higher. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? When it comes down to, for instance, this latest 4-4, so the director buying, are you bullish or do you see it as bearish? The fact that they did get a, what was it, 20, 30 or whatever % discount off of the actual price at the time. And when it comes down to kind of my rant about Eric, do you think it is justified? Have you had the same questions, especially about Drake, or do you think that he is accurate and that technically is going to go to, let's say, 82 or $500? What's your general thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, so worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.